right, we're ready? Oh my gosh, why am I out of breath? I, is that my struggle for this week? I have no idea. You guys, welcome back to The Struggle with Candice Thompson. I'm exhausted. I am Candice Thompson, and for my loyal listeners, thank you for coming back time and time again. To my new listeners, thank you for joining, and I hope we don't disappoint. Here at The Struggle, I have my friends on, and we talk about the challenges of adulting because it sucks most of the time. And if we can make you laugh at it or hear something that you relate to and just bring a little joy to your day, then we've done our job. You can find me on social media, Jokes by Candice, CandiceThompsonComedy.com for my shows. And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you do that. We're on all podcast platforms. We are also on YouTube. If you want to watch the videos, subscribe there. Rate and review us on iTunes. And last but not least, if you haven't told somebody about The Struggle and you're regularly listening to this, please pay it forward. Tell somebody. Word of mouth. It's good. It's Thanksgiving almost. So, do us a solid. And if you're thankful for this podcast, tell somebody you're thankful for it. Now, I'm going to introduce my guest for the day, the hilarious comedian, Barbara Gray.
Hello. Ooh. Hi. I was just imagining someone going around the table at Thanksgiving and then everyone being like, what are you thankful for? And they're like, I'm thankful for The Struggle.
Candice's podcast, The Struggle. If you haven't heard about it, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
They're like, let's just listen to an episode. And they just put it on. Everyone's like, okay.
I mean, it wouldn't be as entertaining as the arguments families get into over the holidays.
Right.
But I feel like, if you want to take a time out from the arguing.
Yeah. Or you could start a whole new argument that you've never had before. And that's kind of fun, too.
Oh, of course, because we say some ridiculous things on this podcast. So if my podcast sparks one of your family arguments, call in and let us know. No, there's there's no phone.
No call. But please tell us if something we say today gets your uncle pissed off, because I would love to know.
If your racist uncle hears something on this podcast that he does not agree with, please call in. No. Barbara, where can everybody find you on social media?
I am at Babs Gray on Twitter and Babs_Gray on Instagram. And those are my places. My website is myjokesareuphere.com.
Ah, you see what she did there. You see what because Barbara, let me tell you something. Your breasts.
I was like, oh, it's coming. Here we go. I know, they're very big.
I love it. I'm so jealous.
Don't be. They're a struggle. They're one of my struggles.
Are they?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait, one you're going to talk about today?
I mean, no, I wasn't planning on, but I'm just, if we're referencing them, I will say that they're beginning to be. I used to like them, and now they're starting to be very annoying.
And just because of the, back issues?
It's mostly, honestly, clothing, and it's impossible to shop. I have a very, very hard time finding anything that fits me.
And have you, because I know I have friends that have had breast reduction. Is that something that you would ever do?
Yeah, I've been contemplating. I've been searching the Instagram for, I want to do everything. I'm looking at an overhaul. I want to get the fat sucked out of my stomach and put into my butt. That's a big thing.
You're remember that show? Do you remember this terrible show they had on?
The Swan?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. And it wasn't, if you think about it in the grand scheme of time, it wasn't that long ago. It was 2005 or something.
Yeah,
it 2006 maybe. That's not that long. But if you don't remember what this show was, it was a makeover reality show, on a network. I think it was on Fox or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was only women, right? Was it men too?
I only remember women, but maybe
I only remember women,
guys.
And I hope it wasn't just women, because that's awful.
I mean, it was an awful concept, so of course that would be that would not be the thing holding them back. They were not
yeah, and then they had women on, and they just gave them a complete plastic surgery makeover.
Their entire body, their face, everything. They were like, "This is what I want to look like," and then teeth. they wouldn't reveal, and then they would reveal it in a beauty contest.
Yeah. Wait, and did they pick? They picked a winner.
I think they picked a winner.
They picked who? Not only.
They should do a follow-up. That would be a fascinating documentary. A follow-up to
who still looks the same.
Yeah, to what that did to them. Did that, fuck them up forever?
Of course it fucked them up forever.
Maybe that's the show I'll pitch, is me being I want to be a swan. Should I do it? And then they'll tell me if it was worth it.
And then they're like, how about we just sign you up for a therapist instead, and we'll just take it from there. But that would be a fun podcast too, is find those contestants and have them on.
That would be really interesting, actually.
But
so many things would be a good podcast.
So many things would have been. And then that's we need another podcast, we need another hole in the head.
Yeah. But
or a hole in the head.
An a-hole in the head. That's what I want to get. My plastic surgery. I want to get a big.
Can I get a sphincter?
Beehole. Oh boy.
Anyway, Barbara, I just saw you because we did a show together at the Jewish Community Center in Silver Lake.
Yes.
You invited me to do it, and it was very fun. Not that
Yeah.
I was expecting anything else, but I don't think I've ever done like a Jewish show before.
It was like a big show. It was a big fundraiser. There were lots of people there.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. When I walked in, I was like, oh, it's probably going to be like maybe 20 people. But
Right.
no.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a big thing. That's my day job. I work there and I help run events. So it's like a part-time gig. And yeah, they have this thing every year and they were kind of like, we have the cabaret coming up, blah, blah, blah. And I kept being like, oh, well, I'll help you find the lineup and like, I'll find someone to host. I couldn't find anybody. And I was like, fine. And so,
I'll
you know,
just do
hosting
it.
fucking sucks. But I had a great time and like, I was able to pick, you know, comics to be on the show. So I was excited about
Yeah,
that.
no, it was great. Noah Garden Schwartz and Moshe Kasher.
Mhm.
Who else
And
was
Solomon,
that?
Georgia.
Solomon. I didn't get there in time to see
Oh, yeah.
Solomon. But yeah, no, it was a great show.
And then Mike, did you see the guy who balances stuff or not?
I came in at the tail end of his
Okay.
set. So I was like, what? It was just like a variety show. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I was like,
wanted-
I hope I don't have to follow that.
Noah did, so
Noah
you're
did.
safe. Yeah. No, it was I wanted to, you know, I wanted to throw one thing in there that was like not stand up to kind of mix things up, and it was
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy named Michael Rayner who's like a vaudeville dude who he balanced a wheelbarrow on his face, and
Did I missed
I
the
think you missed
wheelbarrow.
that, and then at
God.
the end he like spins a cheeseburger on a parasol, so he was fun.
You should refer him. I don't know if you've ever done a show called Booby Trap.
That's where I found him actually.
Oh, I was gonna say you
Yeah.
should send him over there because they do all types of. Scott Neary has a great. If you're in LA local, great show to go to is a Scott Neary's Booby Trap.
Yeah, they have all these circus acts and stuff like that. I looked on his Instagram to find someone.
Okay,
So
that's hilarious.
yeah. So that was fun. Yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, no, it was dope. And we've known each other for a long time now.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like I don't see you enough though.
I know. Yeah, I don't like. Well, that's something. Well,
Is that one of your?
It's involved in the.
I love that your struggle is not seeing me enough, Barbara.
That is my direct struggle. Is I was like my New Year's resolution was
Is
to see Candice
Mo Candice,
more often.
Mo Candice, Mo Candice. All right. Well, okay. So we'll get into that. But I'm going to talk about a struggle really quickly. And
Yes.
so, I've experienced, and it's kind of annoying. We are the only. I feel like we're the only like career, like in entertainment. Being if you're in entertainment, that if people haven't heard of you, they think you're not doing anything.
Yes.
They think you're not successful. They think, oh, you must be like out here driving Uber and blah, blah, blah. And you're probably doing shows maybe like once a month or so. You're not, it's like a hobby.
It amazes me how people are shocked when they're like, "How many shows do you do a week?" You know, and I'm like 6.
Like most
That-
every night.
Yeah, it's like most nights I'm doing it, and they're like, "Oh,
Really?
yeah." Unless you're like the 10 comedians who they've heard of, they don't
They
think you're
don't
successful.
even, and it's so infuriating. Like I had a conversation with someone who made me feel inadequate as an adult.
Ooh.
Like, because that's just not his lifestyle. Like, he is like just a professional person who's like a homeowner, like, and has nothing to do with entertainment, but like was talking to me, and he knows what I do, knows that like I'm writing on a show, knows that I perform all the time, and is still talking to me like, you know, if you're interested, if you like looking to like own stuff, you should probably just like, I mean, Arizona's got some great places and you can, and I'm like, do you think I could just leave? Do you understand what I do? Like, I can't.
This is where it is. The writing job is here. It's not in Arizona.
Like, I can't. I understand that property's cheaper there.
Right.
I do understand that. Like, I'm not stupid, but my career is also out here. So it's like people don't take what you do seriously enough to even think that what you're doing is like your life and your career just because they haven't heard of you.
Well, but I think I think that just shows that he's small-minded because
For sure.
if to him it's like, oh, he can't conceive that there are different ways that people like make money and do something other
Right.
than like a very straightforward
9 to
whatever
5
he does,
or right.
yeah.
And it's like if you're if you're of a certain age and you don't own a home, you did something wrong.
But wait, this guy lives in LA? I mean, doesn't he meet
He
people like this
lives
all the time?
outside of LA, but he
Oh,
used to live in
okay.
LA. He lived in LA for a decade.
Right.
And so, yeah, and knows like it's expensive and knows like this is where Hollywood is and like
Yeah, we don't
artists-
have normal
Right,
jobs
right.
here.
And so like it's normal for like in LA you could be someone who's 45 who has 3 roommates. Like
exactly,
it's
yeah.
completely normal. So yeah, that just took me out of it for a minute cuz this conversation I had with him not that long ago and I was just like and it made me not obviously for a long time doubt myself. Like I wasn't sitting there mulling over it and like it affecting me, but in that moment I was like why doesn't this guy get it? Like and it made me feel inadequate for at least 30 minutes.
And then
And
you're
then
like,
I was
and I'm done.
Fantastic.
Of course, I mean,
right.
like I said, that was obviously a him problem, but I get it. It doesn't matter. That still can make you feel.
It's right, and it also is interesting to me because we don't do that to other people. Like you know what I'm saying? Like there are people who are CEOs that we've heard of before, like Elon Musk, right? Or he'll like Bill Gates, and it's like if I meet a CEO, I don't walk up to them and like keep at it. You know, you'll get there one day. You will. One day you're gonna get there.
I hear CEOs do great in Arizona. You know, I think that might be a place for you.
Right, like there's so many people that we haven't heard of. I don't automatically assume that you are unsuccessful, but it's just for this business for some reason.
Did he make you give him your like credits?
No, but he knows what I do.
Right.
Like he knows for sure what I do. Like he knows I perform a lot and that I'm working on a television show.
Yeah.
And he still was just like, pipe dreams.
I mean, we run into that all the time, especially as female comics. Like, people really do not understand that it is your career. It's your life.
And that was another thing, because I mentioned to him, I had this conversation with my manager, too, because she was just like, I can't believe that guy. Like, he just doesn't get it. And he was probably raised a certain way to think that you have to do this and this and this and this. But it's true. And I was like, you know what? A part of it is, I think, also being a woman. I think that it's just like, oh, she probably is just doing this and calls herself a comedian. But you know what? Also, my manager also said too, as a problem is that there's so many people that overuse the phrase.
I was going to say there are people that do that who are never doing it and call themselves comics, and so they're probably like, "Oh yeah, I have this friend who went up once," and
they're a comedian. So yeah, that was my struggle this week. It wasn't like it's not like I'm quitting what I'm doing and moving to Arizona and buying a house, but it's because this is something I've headlined shows in other states, and people are like, keep it up. Like, you came to see me. Like, I just headlined this show. Like, what do you...
God, that's my least favorite thing is when people say something, they're like, I think you might... And I'm like, you think? I've been doing this for over a decade. I think
now.
I've made the choice, and this is the
I'm
thing.
in it. It's too late. We've committed.
Yeah. What was the context that you were talking to him?
It was somebody that I don't want to say what he was doing, but he's not somebody that I have to see regularly. He was somebody that I saw for a brief amount of time.
Oh, okay.
Work project type thing.
Right.
And then now he's gone.
I gotcha.
And so it was the last conversation we will probably ever have. And I was like, oh, you don't get it.
I mean, all I would do is just continually text him your credits every time something new happens.
Well, he is following me on Instagram now.
Okay.
So
so you're set.
He gonna see.
What about that guy? If you talked about this on here, the guy who made the Instagram just for you, that was
amazing.
Yeah, that should fill in the 30 minutes of doubt because that was amazing.
You know what? But if this guy even is on Instagram to ever even look at it, who
Right.
knows? He's so removed from this industry that he just doesn't get it. But so that guy. I hope he doesn't listen to this podcast because I'm about to talk shit. So, because he got weird.
Oh, of course.
I was at the
Then
comedy.
he DM'd you or something.
Did he what?
Or sorry, no,
yeah, he did DM me. Yeah, so it got weird, and I'm gonna have to. I hope he does not listen to this. So he came up to me at the Comedy Store on I think this past Saturday or Friday, and he goes. He just seen me perform in the main room, and he was like, "I found out about you when you did Rogan's podcast, and I've been a fan, and I think you're great. Blah blah blah. I can't believe you're single, and he's like, I think you're so funny, and it just doesn't make sense to me. He's like, you're hot, and it just doesn't make sense. And I was like, we're female comedians, like." We're chronically single.
or
like
very
to find a
intimidating.
man that can tolerate and put up with and be secure enough to date a woman who makes them feel intimidated. It's hard to find. So anyway, we talked for a second. Then he was like, well, I don't live here. I live in Portland. I'm just here, for whatever. And I'm going to head back. So I guess it's the last time we're going to see each other. And I was like, well, are you on Instagram? And he was like, no. But I will join for you. And then I said, it'd be hilarious is if you joined and said, I just joined for Candice Thompson in your bio. And then so he took it up a notch and made his handle, I joined for Candice Thompson.
So funny.
And he did it like that night.
Yeah.
So I woke up the next morning seeing that in my notifications, which I thought was hilarious and kind of sweet and cute, whatever. So then I did an Instagram story about it, and then he sent me a message saying, I followed him back. So I was like, that was nice. I'll follow him back.
Yeah.
So then he sent me a message, and he said,
Oh, no.
I thought you'd appreciate that. Well, the first message was fine. Let me pull it up,
I'm
actually.
just like, we understand these things, and I'm like anticipating.
And you already know how it's going to go. And it was my fear that it was going to go this way to begin with, because we just know the type of people that we attract. And so, sorry. I've had messages sent him. Here we go. I joined. I joined.
You gotta look up your own name and.
Here we go. So the first message he sent me was nice, and it was just. But you see what I'm. You see what I'm. You see what I'm scrolling. You see what I'm scrolling. And it went to that like immediately.
He wrote a lot.
Full on. This is like a diatribe. Okay, so he goes, I thought you'd get a kick out of that. I guess I have to figure out how to use Instagram now. You're hilarious and quite stunning, so I have a hard time believing the single thing, blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, I have two stories that sum me up. You can choose whether you want to get to know me. And I was like, okay, I said, this is where I was like, okay, this is going to get.
Yeah.
This is going to be material for me.
You looked to camera. This is
going to get. Because it's like I go one way, but I was like, maybe he'll tell me two quick things, and I'll be like, oh, that was kind of cute and funny, whatever. So I said, let's hear the stories. This spirals very quickly. I don't even know. I love comedy. I think it's a gift. For my 40th, I went to Ross Attell Bumping Mics deal. If you saw, I don't know if you saw the Netflix. Anyway, I thought the local comic who opened for them was hilarious and fun, so I made friends with her on Facebook. I'm not awesome at that social media either, but at least know how to send a friend request. We hung out a few times and had a blast. Already, I'm like, this is too much information.
Oh, boy.
And already you're letting me know you hit on female comedians. Like, that's what you do.
It's your thing.
I knew she was into me, but she was just bit too big for my taste.
Oh, no.
Like like 3 bills big. I guess that's 300 pounds. And I'm like, why are you telling me this?
What the fuck?
Why are you telling me? I got a vasectomy. How did we get there? How did we get there?
That's straight after the 3 bills.
How did we get there? Did I miss something? Like, to say this chick was big, and then to immediately say I got a vasectomy, I don't see where the dots connect.
Yeah.
I don't do opiates, but I do drink. So that's the next thing. I don't do opiates, but I do drink. So after a day and a half of boozing and icing my moneymaker, was anxious to get out of the house. I don't know. I'm not even following this. I don't even know.
Wait, okay, this is after the vasectomy, because I thought he was saying after he had sex with her.
No, I don't know.
I think he used icing his.
Oh, but wait.
Okay.
So yeah, there is a vasectomy. So I think this will be cleared up in this section here, but it's still confusing to me. I said maybe you can help me understand.
What a great story.
Intro. We just met, and this is what you telling me. That women,
there are 2 stories that define me.
Yeah, that some women are too fat for me.
And I mean, luckily, thank you for telling me you're not going to procreate, because I do appreciate that.
That does actually help the situation. So he says, I sent out a couple of texts, and she was the first to answer, and performing at a house party. Long story short, this is not short. Like, you've already messed that up. You're supposed to wait 72 plus hours to ejaculate post-snip. I went to Pound Town less than 36 hours after. I had an extended stay in town, and I got a raving 5 out of 5 veiny eggplant Yelp review. I don't know what he's talking about. Yelp review, but I also got an incredibly swollen and an aching ball sack. The pain and swelling lasted for weeks and put the success of my surgery at risk. The upside was I got to go shopping and get some new pants. Yes, swelling was that bad. And that's the first story.
I am so glad I asked you about this guy.
And I completely had already erased him from my mind. But thank you for bringing it up, because I completely forgot about him. I did not respond But also, that's the first. How is that a story that sums you up?
I mean, honestly, it is, I guess. I think it is a story that
I think
sums him
we know all we need to know.
Yeah.
Just from that. But
From the fact that he would say those words to a person, that sums him up.
it lets me know for sure who you are. But
Yeah.
also, you know what I think he was doing with this? I think he just wants to be funny.
Yes.
Like, this
No,
story was an attempt to be funny.
The Yelp review line is an obvious
The Yelp
I'm
review,
being funny.
5 veiny eggplant Yelp review. I still
Yes.
don't even know. I'm coming at from even more of just a grammatical
Confusion.
coherent
Run-on sentence.
perspective. This doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, why don't you master the foundations of English first, and then we can work on trying to be funny. But
Right.
but this also is a perfect example of why it's so hard for us to date. Because I just want to meet a guy who is not in competition with my jokes, who just will let me be me. But no, here I am, and I can't. It sounds like he needs to just go do an open mic.
I mean,
don't
the
want a
most
girl.
you've gotten is 4 veiny.
That's the most I've ever gotten.
4 veiny. What?
That's the most
Is it
veiny
called
eggplants.
Eggplants.
Eggplant.
Yeah, no, you're right. The guys really have an issue where they're like, it really is like a carnal thing where they need to be like
the funny one.
or yeah. So they really, and then this is what comes out.
And it's like, just let me handle that part. I don't need you to be funnier. I don't need you to even keep up.
You're not going to be able to.
You're
so
not
don't
going
try.
to. So just let it go. What do you care? He's obviously just a comedy fan, which
Right.
is I've complained about on this podcast before too. Is like, we have to be careful because it's like, does this guy want to date me or is he just a fan? Is he a fucking fanboy?
Yeah.
So it's annoying, and there's so much more, but I don't even. It's even more confusing than that one, and so. And then I ignored both of those stories. He saw that I read them.
Yeah.
I did not respond.
It's beautiful.
And then he had the nerve to ask me out after seeing I did not respond. Said, I
Well-
would like to take you to dinner.
I mean, he obviously has no. There's no. If he was telling that story,
No
Yeah.
filter, no. He's delusional as far as like
Yes,
what is
that's the word.
appropriate or acceptable in a first meeting type situation. He's crazy.
yeah,
I quit, Barbara. All right, and we've taken up too much time on me.
this is the shit
But this is
we deal with.
But you have someone, right? I think
I have a boyfriend. Yeah,
you-
he's very sweet. I know.
You know,
it took a long
time.
A long time.
How long have you guys been together now?
We've been together a year. We met a year ago.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know why I'm being weird with this. I wiped my glasses off with this paper, and I've been like obsessive about it. I'm just putting. Then I was like, oh, it's on the table. Now everyone's looking at it.
No one.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm putting it over here.
And I asked, I said, do you, right
And I was
before we
like, no,
started
it's fine.
recording, I was like, do you want a trash can? And she was like, no.
Because I thought maybe I need to wipe my glasses. My glasses get really fucked up, and then it's on camera. It's a whole thing. Just so you know, that's what I'm processing over here.
It's fine, let it go. Is that the
But-
struggle this week?
yeah,
Is
that's
it
my
the
struggle.
paper towel?
No, my boyfriend is very sweet, and he is very like he's totally cool with me like doing my thing. And
And is he
It's-
in entertainment at all?
no, he's an artist, but he's not in
Not
entertainment.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's the perfect scenario.
It's a very good. But
Oh.
it took. I mean,
yeah.
yeah, a very
For
very
it
long
to get
time.
there. Right.
And I have my own things with commitment stuff that are separate, you know, that
for
I'm working
sure.
on. But
For sure. I was hoping when I got there, I was like, yeah, made me a nice Jewish husband tonight.
I know, it was all married guys.
Nothing. I mean, to be fair, I only stayed. I was only there.
Yeah,
And
you
for
never
4,
know if you'd
I
hung
was-
out.
If I'd hung out.
I did have a lady afterwards be like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. My husband has a crush on you." And I looked over and he just goes, double thumbs up. And I was like, all right, hell yeah.
2 veiny eggplant Yelp reviews you got that night.
What the fuck?
I don't.
Yeah,
Barbara.
that was really him trying to be funny.
Barbara,
It's
we
the
have to. I
worst.
can't. We can spend all day on that weirdo. Matter of fact, I hope he does listen to this because he needs to know.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
So what you struggle with?
Actually, my struggle is related to quitting, sort of.
I'm like,
I know. Well,
Barbara.
I've had, been doing comedy for 11 years. And my ultimate goal is to like make television, right? For TV
sure,
and
yeah.
stuff. And I haven't gotten that job yet. And it gets,
right.
very frustrating.
Of course.
And I've just had a lot of like, I think obviously at some point you have to get used to the roller coaster of this career. And it's very hard.
It's like every week.
Yeah, you never fucking know. You could be on top of the world and like down in the gutter. Like I've had this happen actually last month, like in the same day within half an hour, have like the best news and then the worst news.
And the worst news
So
all at once.
yeah, so it's kind of like you, and I've finally gotten used to that. I'm weathering that storm, but I just really am coming to a point, and this is so horrible because I never thought ever when I started this career that I would like be at this point, but
Yeah.
I'm coming to the point where I'm like, is this going to happen? So I'm like
Really?
starting to like be really scared that it's not going to. And also and I'm also kind of self-sabotaging myself at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm kind of doing a lot of things where it's like, is this going to happen? Well, maybe it won't, and so
won't.
therefore I won't do certain
I won't
things.
do this. So that way it's like you making the decision to get out of it instead of somebody else.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's kind of like me, playing mind games with myself to like fuck myself over in some
Right,
ways, so I
right.
won't
Right.
succeed or something. So I've basically I can tell you like the actual details off the air, but the last year I've been working in a project that basically like when you hear about like Hollywood stories about people getting fucked over and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's probably true. It was like being in a slow motion car wreck and being like screaming and being like, I think there's something bad happening here,
Oh,
and then just
wow.
getting fucked over and basically getting something stolen from me.
Oh wow. Like you're talking about like intellectual property?
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So
Ugh.
that happened, and it was just a
Wait.
really
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
was it by someone that you knew and trusted, or was this somebody that
yes,
a stranger?
It was someone who had been brought in
Ugh.
to the project,
Ugh.
and then
Fuck.
yeah. And so it's been really, really hard to deal with that because not only was it just this like situation of like, okay, well, this is what happens, but it just kind of showed me that because they had more power than I did, that they got to win.
Of course. That's this industry.
Yeah.
It's not just this industry. It's the fucking
Everywhere.
world. Right.
But it really just showed me how little I was thought of because I apparently didn't have like the power that they had.
It feels hopeless.
Yeah, it felt exactly. So that's where I'm at. It felt really hopeless, and it felt like, and literally, like my instincts were correct the entire fucking time. I had a bad feeling about these people.
Oh shit.
I kept talking about it. I was ignored, and then this happened. So it was also that where I was like, no one's listening to me. Like, what do I do here? So it was kind of a
That's awful.
really, really shitty situation that I also kind of showed me that I can weather the storm because I came out on top of it. Like,
Right.
it didn't totally, I was pissed, but it didn't, I was like, okay,
It
well,
didn't
let's
crush
just,
you.
yeah.
Right.
I was like, let's keep going.
Right.
But but it's kind of also just that combined with like, I had a manager for like 5 or 6 years who didn't do shit for me. I finally left. I worked my ass off to get another one, and I'm kind of they do things, but I'm still dealing with the same thing of where I'm like, what happens now? Like I need
Right. And
help here.
What's so tricky is that you hear everybody when it comes to like representation, everybody complains about their rep. They're like, yeah, no, I'm just not happy. But then they go to someone else and they're like, I'm still not happy. And it's like no one's happy with their rep. And what's tricky about that also is that no one really knows what their person is supposed to be doing for them.
Yeah.
it's
just really confusing.
It's very confusing. And if it was, for example, like the first person you were with and you didn't know what that person was supposed to do, you could be with them for years and then like think that they were doing what they were supposed to be doing. Be like, oh, like, but no, they should have been doing this and this and this and this.
Yeah. So it feels like I kind
infuriating.
of just, I'm just scared of doing that again, because I wasted it. But whatever, that's like just a part of kind of, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just struggling with kind of that point where I'm like, how long can I like put myself through this?
Right.
Because I really do want this thing, and I feel like I have it in me, and I love comedy, and it is like my whole life. But I'm also at the same time just kind of like been disappointed so many times,
often.
and it's just you're like, it's like, yeah. And so then I start doing that, and then I kind of start doing the self-sabotage part, where I don't work on things enough, or I kind of like push things to the side that I shouldn't,
Right.
and that kind of gets up with it too.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So that's kind of what I'm like going through, basically.
What? Because I obviously I think comedian understands 100% what you're going through, and so like for me, it's hard because like you said, you'll get something. And then you get rejected from something. So it's like you went 20 steps, but then the rejection feels like it knocks you back like 5 steps.
Right.
And then it might be 6 months before you get something else that you feel proud of. And then you don't know, it's like you're grasping, you don't know how long it's going to last, and it's exhausting, and it's a rat race. And at what point you feel like, oh, am I just delusional? Like, have no, but because, and it's so hard because you know you're funny. I know you're funny. I know so many people that think you perform all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm funny.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not even a
I'm
question of that.
talented.
It's like,
Right.
it's like that's what gets so frustrating is you're like, I think the thing's out there for me, but then the reality of it, the reality of it does make you feel delusional because there's just so many people
Right.
doing it, and
Right.
especially now, like
Right.
it's so oversaturated, and the odds that we're all going to do it to the level that we want to are very slim.
And I mentioned the word delusional, but we all have to have some level of delusion to think we're going to make it.
Of course.
Because what are the odds? It's like a professional football player. Like, what are the odds you're going to go pro? Like, people would say you're crazy, but it's like we have that same level because it's hard.
You have to have that to get you in there.
For sure. Now, I don't know, because I don't think we've ever like hung out like one-on-one. We just see each other at shows,
Yeah.
and I did your podcast a while ago, but like, I talk about this all the time. Like, I know for a fact that something that's held me back is that I'm not like a narcissist. Like, I don't have it in me, that drive to like step on people or whatever it is to get what I want at any cost. So, are you a narcissist is what I'm asking, Barbara.
I mean, sometimes I feel like I am, but no, I think overall no. I'm not somebody who, I've never wanted to ask people for stuff. I've never had that drive in me to like use anyone.
Right,
I
right.
don't like that. And that a lot of this, you have to ask people for things, you
And that-
know, and you have to be comfortable with someone knowing that you're using them for their connection. And that's something I've really had to come to terms with and be like, yeah, but that's this industry. And that's just part of this.
That's part of it. But it's still like there are people now who I never hadn't heard from in years.
oh,
And
yeah.
now all of a sudden, hey, Candice.
I know. I saw that our buddy Alan Strickland Williams. He's, he just had his half hour come out
Yeah.
and he sold a show, and
Yeah.
he tweeted something. He was like, "What's the German word for when you get successful and then everyone starts coming out of the woodwork to ask for favors?"
That's
like,
great.
Yeah,
That's a hilarious
But
joke.
then the thing is, I feel like I've done that to people who, because you kind of have to. But I think people know who
Exactly.
are
Who are
shitty
the
and who aren't.
genuine
Yeah.
people who are really just like, hey, blah, 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 or the people that are just like, the
Yes.
clingers and who they
Those are very obvious. But they also get somewhere because they do that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I guess this is kind of something that I've been thinking about a lot too, is that I don't know if it's my parents' fault. A good time to blame my parents.
This is a little segment where it's like, what can I blame on my parents today?
But seriously, and I don't know if you were raised the same way as me, but I mean, obviously we weren't. But in this aspect of, my parents were kind of, they never really like pushed me to like. It was always like, I always had it because they were both very responsible people, and because of that, I was always like, I always had good grades. I was always like, on it with my school duties and stuff like that, sports and stuff. But I always felt like what I did was just good, was fine for them. But they were never like, Candice, you got to work harder, blah, blah. They didn't push me. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that I'm not hungrier for fame, or not that I want to be that, because that's kind of monstery to want fame like that. But just that drive to want so much more and not be complacent with work. Because like right now I'm super happy. Like I'm super happy and I'm like, I'm working and that's great. And I feel good. But I know there are people who are doing much more than what I'm doing. And they're still like,
I think if you're that person, I mean, that's incredible. That's like what you wish for, though, because I do know that that's the tale as old as time. You get all the people who are like that get all the things they think they wanted, and then they're not
but they're
happy.
never happy.
Yeah, and I go through ebbs and flows. Like sometimes I'm super content, and I'm like, yes, I feel good. I'm doing, like I still have a day job and shit, but it's okay. I'm still doing the stuff I love.
Right.
But right now, I'm not really pushing myself. I'm not performing as much as I want. I'm not writing. Like, I think and that's okay. It comes and it goes, but I think I have kind of, that has happened to me where I've let myself off the hook a little bit,
Right.
and that's gonna like
Right.
fuck me up eventually.
Question for you.
Hmm.
Do you feel like, because this is what I had to do for myself to kind of give me a nudge and move in the direction that I wanted to go? When I was working my day job, I cut myself down to part time because I felt that it was giving me an excuse to, like, I can complain like, well, I was at my job for 8 hours, so, and then I have my show that I have tonight or whatever, and it's like that's all I have the energy for. But I was basically using that as an excuse to not be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So I forced myself to go to part time, and I was like, I don't know where that money's going to come from because that's half my paycheck is gone. I have no idea. But I made a conscious decision. I was like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to figure it out, and everything will be fine. And it did. Like, and so it forced me to have more structure and to be hungrier to get work in the path that I wanted to do, which was comedy.
Right.
Because I know exactly, I worked at a day job for 10 years, and it was a safety net. I talked to my friend Roy Wood. Do you know Roy Wood Jr.?
Yeah.
Because I was telling him, like, I'm thinking about cutting my job down, and I was like, I'm kind of nervous because I don't know if this is the right thing to do. And he was like, and he brought the analogy. I don't know if you ever saw, it's the first Dark Knight with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where he's in, and I can't remember 100% where he was coming from, but he's like in a cave that's like an underground cave, and he's trying to climb up a wall to get out, or it's like a prison. I think it was a prison, and it's this huge wall that he had to scale to get out. And the first few times he tried, he climbed up, but he had a harness on him in case he fell back down because it was like nothing. There was no stairs or anything. He just literally had to rappel up a wall to get out. And the first few times he tried, he fell, but he didn't die because that cord was there to catch him. And Roy was like, you got to get rid of that cord. Because that's what he did in The Dark Knight. He climbed up the last time with no safety net. So if he was going to fall, he was going to die. So he had no choice but to not fall. And so I was like, God damn you, Roy.
Damn, that's a great analogy.
Because you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
And you'll make it happen. So
I mean, the thing is, my job actually is part-time. So it's
Oh, okay.
it's a very ideal job for
that's great. Okay,
while I'm
yeah,
figuring
yeah.
shit out. And they love me. They're very like open to me, you know.
Being flexible.
My
and
hours are very
saying,
flexible. So
oh, that's great.
So it is actually ideal for him going. And so it's not that. It's like not that part that I do use it for, like, oh, I'm tired and, you know, whatever.
Right.
But it's just, it's just kind of getting rid of that hump of like pushing yourself and kind of dusting yourself off again after this experience I had this year that was like just so insanely frustrating.
That's so traumatic because now it's like you don't trust people and now you're like, if I present my ideas to someone else, are they going to do the same thing? So it makes you feel trepidatious about even meeting new people and working with new people that you don't know. That's awful.
Yeah, and it's just, it's a string of, I realized I was like, this isn't just this. It's like 10 years of like I've come so close to like big jobs and I've never gotten one.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, that means it's coming then.
Yeah, I know. And that's what they say, but you're like, when? When the fuck does it come?
Trust me, Barbara, I know.
Yeah, you know. I mean, we all know. We've all done this.
When? It's the same thing. And I knew it was going to be career stuff for me that was going to happen first because then people were saying the same thing about a man. They're like, it happens when you're not looking.
Expect it when you're
I've been not looking for my whole life. And then I finally started looking and still nothing. And then I went back to not looking and still nothing. All right.
I mean, hey, you got that
I got veiny eggplant.
Veiny eggplant.
Worst case scenario, I always have veiny eggplant. God.
Fall back on.
Damn you, Barbara.
But yeah, I know. And I think the thing is I've chosen, like we said, we chose the thing. I don't see myself, but I do wonder, like, there's part of me who wants to switch it up somehow and maybe move somewhere or, things like that.
Like to New York?
That get in my head. No, I think I would.
Arizona to buy some property.
To Portland to be with Veiny Eggplant. I'm so sorry. But
That's my man.
Actually, like, I'm, like, the UK. Like, I really, I toured over there and I loved it.
See, and that's something I've never done. I've always wanted to. It was great over there.
It was amazing. I mean, I didn't do a full tour. I was over there with friends, and I did a few shows, but it was, like, incredible. And it's just something that's always been kind of like, I don't know, switching up that dramatically and really going for it and, like, just, you get paid well everywhere. So
That's dope.
Yeah.
Where did you guys go when you did that? What cities?
We went to London and Edinburgh, Scotland, and then I went to Paris by myself, and it was fucking amazing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And there's no difference over there as far as like, because I've always been concerned with like, if I go overseas, you know, some things get lost in translation.
Totally.
You know, did you find that difficult? The stand up, like your acts that you do here, did you find difficulty with any of the jokes or
Not
premises?
really. Like I definitely made sure to take out references that I thought would be very like US specific.
Right.
But overall, no, I had a great time. And I mean, yeah, it was a quick thing, and I'm not sure, you know, how it'd be, but I think I'm gonna give it a shot and try this next year to go over for a longer period and be like, is this a thing I would want to do? But that's also a huge fucking decision, and
That's yeah.
it'd be far away from everyone, and so I don't know. Maybe I'll try to do it for a year or something like
That's
that.
what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's just because sometimes what I found myself doing this year for like inspiration is just trying new things, like stuff that I've never done before, and that's a huge one to like move. How would your parents react to you saying I'm moving out of the country?
I think they would be sad, but I don't think they'd be like surprised. I've
Yeah.
talked to them about it before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I think if I told myself like, hey, it's a year, you're coming back, you know, I can sublet my play. It's not like everything's gonna be gone.
Right. It's not permanent.
But I think it would just kind of like give me a different experience and, you know, get to really perform all the time. And yeah, I have to let go. I'd have to like figure out money and
Money
all that
and your
shit.
relationship.
yeah. I have talked to him about it too. So who knows?
He'd be fine with you going. Would you do a long distance thing or would you just take a break?
I
for
I don't know. We haven't talked about it that much, but I think he would at least try to come
Let's
over
have
for
him
some
call
of
in.
it. Let's
What if I actually? What if he was behind?
he
the,
just pops
we
up.
actually have Barbara's boyfriend.
No, he's pretty open about everything. So I don't know. We would figure it out. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I'm just in that stage where I feel like kind of putting myself out of my comfort zone would
Of
be
course,
good.
yeah, yeah. No, it's
So
great. Did you ever live in New York? Ever doing stand up?
I started here in
Me
LA and
too.
I've always,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people. And here's why I'll take a minute to complain about New York for a second because I'm from New York. Like my first 10 years of my life, I grew up in Queens, and I love New York. I cannot handle the cold. I will not go there in the wintertime. But when I hear comedians talking about how amazing New York is for comedy, and I'm like, I've done New York comedy scene. It's fine. But they keep making it sound like it's this amazing. It's no different.
No.
Like it's exactly the same. And they're like the crowds are just better. And I was like, no, they're not. They're not. I've done enough shows there, and I've seen them tense up. I was like, I went to New York thinking, oh, I'm gonna tell my edgiest jokes, and
Right.
and they tensed up and got all sensitive about it. And I'm like, what are all these rumors? And I think people just create their own narratives that make them whatever makes them more comfortable.
I think honestly, I just think it's that people get from place to place a little bit easier. I think that's the only difference. And that's why they're like, well, you can do 5 things in a night. We're like, yeah, you can here too. You just got to like figure it out.
You just got to get a car.
Yeah. It's just, the car is what
You have to figure out how to pay for gas.
That's
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I've always had like I really like New York, but every time I've gone there, I've been going through some like personal crisis. So it doesn't. I don't know.
It holds some bad memories for you every
Yeah.
time you think about it.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, no, I'm not done complaining about New York. The public transportation that everyone says is fantastic. I'm not with it.
Well, especially lately, you'll see like, yeah, they're being fucking assholes. They're cracking down on people jumping turnstiles, and then it's like flooded. It smells like piss all the
It's
time.
disgusting.
It's really nasty.
And they have not renovated. They haven't done anything. It looks like those subways look like they're still in the 70s.
Yeah.
And they're dangerous. Like I had to catch a subway when I was back when was that? In April of this year was the last time I was there. And I was leaving my friend's place. It was like 2:00 in the morning. And my train ended up coming like 35, 40 minutes late. And I'm like, if I was
That's
standing here, and
dangerous.
luckily I had a friend that came with me.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I was by myself, yeah, no. I'm here to say no on New York transportation. Stop raving about it. It is not fantastic. It's convenient, I guess, if you're not a woman and you don't care about your safety. It stinks in the summertime. There is no AC.
I like all of this as an ad for them. It's convenient if you're not a woman. It's
You don't have to fear getting attacked or stabbed. Or raped. Like
Yeah.
it's fine, I guess. But I also like personal space. And there's no personal space on the train.
No, I mean, the car is just so nice. You sing to yourself, you get in the
listen to your
zone,
own
you can
music.
scream at people.
Got
It's-
air conditioning. It's fantastic. So I don't know how this turned into a negative review of New York transportation, public transportation.
One veiny eggplant.
But at a time. Is there anything else you're struggling with, Barbara?
Oh yeah, I mean, sure, yeah. My
We have
my
like probably
my
like
body.
we have like what 15 minutes left or something like that. Yeah, we have 15 minutes left, so we can talk about
Yeah, I lost a bunch of weight a few years ago, and I gained it all back in the last year. I had a great time doing it. Gaining
Gaining
the
it.
weight back was very fun.
And let me it probably came back a lot quicker than it took for you to lose it.
Yes.
God is hilarious.
Because that is how it goes.
God is a clown.
And
Yes.
then you get in your 30s, and you're like, oh, okay.
Oh.
This is just how it is.
That's just how my body works.
Yeah.
For the rest of my
So
life.
I've been having a hard time with that. I think that's also been kind of helping me like not work on stuff because like I feel like I'll look in the mirror and be like, oh, cool. And then, you know, you go on camera and you're like, oh, right. There's all the
oh.
things that I don't like. So that's been hard. That's been really hard for me. So I'm trying to like deal with it and like I need to go through this time like trying to love myself more as
Yeah.
opposed to like let me change it and fix it or whatever.
Right,
you know,
right,
fix
right.
it. But it's tough.
You mean the body positivity movement isn't working for you, Barbara?
I have a joke about it. I'm like, you know,
Please
it's
tell me.
2019. And I am all about body positivity. I'm positive. I hate my body. Hey.
I've had people come on like Jenny Zagrino. She came on a while back and talked about how, you know, she was like, she feels like a fraud because of the whole body positivity movement. You know, we're all supposed to be about love yourself. She's like, but I'm constantly trying to lose weight and I'm not happy.
Yeah.
And that's the whole issue with it. So I was curious as to what your thoughts on the whole body.
I mean, I think it's
positivity
amazing
movement.
for people who it works for.
For who it works
if
for.
it works
right.
for you, then awesome. It doesn't, but I've always like, I will just say, yeah, when I lost that weight, I felt my confidence and like being on camera, especially, was up here.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is something, if I can't be comfortable on camera, it's very hard to like be funny.
It's
you
hard
know?
to get out of your head. There's
Like,
just,
and literally before I shoot something every time now, I'm like at the mall for 6 hours trying to find something that will fit. And that's what there were these fucking things come in too.
That's what I've been waiting for this whole entire time. This was just a buildup to get to those titties, Barbara.
But they really, they make you look a lot bigger too. And it's just this big thing of fat, and they're very hard to find bras that make, so it's all that. It's like every time I have to be on camera, it's a huge stressful thing because I can't find anything that really looks good. Right. So it's just all wrapped up, you know, there. It's annoying.
Because I'm just a huge fan of curves. Like I love voluptuousness. I love pendulous breasts, and I've never had them. When I like your body to me, you look great. Like your curves, you have good, nice curves. I do not carry weight like that. Like I carry it goes to my boobs a little bit, but it goes to places that I feel like it's just not. It's like all stomach, no like hips or anything like that. And so I just become a rectangle. A rhombus, if you will. No, I'm rhombus bodied when I gain weight. But
I mean, I do love my curves. Like I like being a curvy woman, and I'm not like, it's not that, you know, but it's just basically it's like it's my stomach too. Yeah. When I just kind of have a free for all for 2 years and eat everything I want, then that's what happens.
What is your downfall when it comes to food? What's like the thing you go to? Is it savory or sweet?
I mean, just bread, like, you know, pizza, sandwiches, all that. Yeah. All that stuff. And I'm doing like keto right now, and it's kind of like, you know, at first it was good, and now I'm like, just like staring at bread and fucking dreaming about bread. I literally had a dream where I just ate bread with butter. So it's like,
okay, first of all, that's amazing.
It was a great dream. It felt really good. But yeah, and then it's also like, what is this for? Because I tried keto before, and then you go off of it, and it does come back really quick. So I'm like, is this sustainable as a comedian? We travel so much. I know. It's very tough.
It's very difficult trying to maintain any type of regimented diet program, or lifestyle, whatever you want to call it. Because you know, I've been vegan now since December, and I'm already in my head like, okay, I'm gonna be places. I was in Argentina earlier this
Oh
year.
my God. Well,
And they're
that's
not right. So I did cheat a little bit, not with like meat, like because you can, but I did have some cheese and I had some desserts that actually had like dairy in them because it's like also when in Rome, like
yeah,
fuck it,
of
like I'm
course.
not gonna right, but it's very difficult. Like Ian Edwards, I don't know if you know Ian, but he was like I don't travel that much because he is vegan. He's just like I prefer to not go on the road because it's just harder for me to find stuff. I was
Wow.
in Great Falls, Montana a couple years ago. I had to drive like 7 miles to find like a veggie burger
Oh my God.
from my hotel. One night I just had chips and salsa because there was a Chili's next door, and they had, and I wasn't even vegan at the time. I was just vegetarian,
Wow.
and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, just give me your complimentary chips, please. And I'm just gonna go. Yeah.
It's tough, yeah. When you have a lifestyle like ours, it's very, and that's the thing is I have no, I would like love to be this person who like gets up at the same time every day and like exercises, but it's just, it's not very easy with our lives.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Barbara. I feel like I've made your problems worse.
That's the point of this,
Since
right? You
this
make
is-
people feel
I-
worse about their shit on this show. And then you're like, and then I gain energy from sucking their lives.
I'm an emotional vampire. I invite people in and they just make me strong. They make me stronger and they leave weaker.
I mean, actually, it's good. You know, I'm glad we did this because it's good to like sit down and you can kind of be in this like nebulous area where you're like, I'm kind of like struggling with some stuff, but you don't really think like, what am I struggling with?
What? Right.
So it was good. I think it was good for me to like really sit
Say it.
and be like, oh, like I am having a hard time with this, and I think I've let myself go a little bit as far as my goals and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's not me. Like I am somebody who always pushes and really goes for it and wants the things that I want.
Right.
And I still do in my heart believe that I will get there, but you know, when it doesn't happen in the timeline that you were hoping it'll happen in, it's like that's when I start doubting.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you journal? You strike
I
me.
don't do anything like that. I don't do anything.
Said I don't do anything. I find that hard to believe. But
I have in the past, but not anymore.
yeah, okay, because there's something you have a journaling vibe. You strike me. I'm picturing you right now, Barbara, on your bed
Right.
with your laying on your tummy with your feet up in the air. Dear diary.
Yes. I've
Yeah.
got my little cat right there.
Do you have a cat?
Yes. He's a little orange guy. He's very cute.
I don't think I've seen your cat. I don't think I've even
His
seen
name's
Instagram.
Archie.
I love the name Archie.
Yeah.
I love the name Archie. We're talking about baby names for, do you know Sarah Tiana?
Yes.
Yeah, she's having a baby. In
Oh, Archie's a
February.
cute name.
Yeah, but she's not going with it. But
What
it
did
was-
she choose? She
I
doesn't know.
think they're. I think she's going with Cage.
Kate. Oh God.
Yeah, Cage.
K-A-G-E?
The last I think just C-A-G.
Okay.
I think that's what she said. And because the last name is like, it's like Brockman or something like
All
that.
right,
It's got-
that's a pretty good
That's
name.
what I'm saying. You have to hear the full.
Okay.
I did it a disservice.
Cage by itself is pretty rough.
It's some kind of like, it's a sturdy name.
Right.
Like they're probably going to have an MMA fighter.
That
That's what
sounds exactly. If he's not, that's a disappointment.
Cage Brock, or that's actually kind of like a news anchor name as well. I
Yes.
can hear it.
Well,
Cage Brockman.
Cage Brockman.
Tune in next week. Wait, I lost my train of thought because I was going somewhere with the journaling, but then I lost it. God,
do you journal?
no. I used to, and it's a daily fear of mine that somebody will find it.
Oh yeah.
And I have it in the same spot, but I haven't written in it for years. But it is a daily, like if something were to happen to me, and then people come
yeah,
in my
that's scary.
apartment to get rid of stuff and make plans, they would stumble across this thing. So I contemplate burning it every day.
I mean, my theory is that there should be a service where you put stickers and all the things you wouldn't want anyone to see
To
ever.
look at.
So then when you die, they're the first people who come in and they.
They're not gonna look at stickers, Barbara. Would you obey a sticker if you found somebody's
Of course
journal?
not. You would look
Exactly.
in it because it has the sticker
Yeah,
on it.
Yeah. You
I've looked in a journal. It wasn't a good
whose
idea.
was it?
No comment.
We'll talk about that when the cameras are done rolling. I looked in somebody's joke book one time
Oh.
because they left it in my
Well,
car.
yeah, you have to find it. Oh, okay.
They left it in my car, and I also did the responsible thing. I tried to find whose it was. I posted on social media, and I didn't hear back anything. I posted on Facebook,
Oh,
Twitter.
so you didn't know whose it was. Okay.
I found out. through one of the passages that was inside. But for months, me and my old roommate would read.
That's
We would
hilarious.
have readings in the
That
apartment.
is amazing.
We would have.
Was it like written out, or was it just like a list of?
It was.
words?
It was written out. Like, and it wasn't just jokes. It was like events that they went to, like notes from
Oh,
events.
wow.
And so I learned a lot about this person, but we didn't find out who it was. And then when we found out who it was, we stopped reading it because it kind of lost the mystique was gone.
Right,
So we
right.
were like, we have to move on from this. But it's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it was
Ooh.
when the camera stopped
I
rolling.
left a journal. I think I did this twice in the back seat of a plane. So I'm like, that was a gift for whoever got their hands on that.
Terrifying to me. That is terrifying.
Not to me, because it was obviously going to be a total stranger who found it.
It's
so like,
anonymous for sure, but
yeah.
your name or nothing was on it.
I
Like, in
think
it
my
anywhere.
might have been in there, but it's like, I don't know. What
They
are
still
gonna
don't
do? Yeah. All they're gonna do is read about like the terrible guys I liked. It's like, oh wow, she likes another fuckboy. Big surprise.
Have you ever said fuckboy on stage before?
No, I don't really say it that much. Yeah.
I'm trying to. For some reason, have you ever told jokes where you criticize men?
Yes, of course.
She's like, yes, Candace. It's what I do. I don't know if you've seen my set, but I noticed that there's a tenseness in the audience whenever I make jokes about men, and
Definitely.
I feel like we've made fun of women for so long that it's like it's fair game. It's time we got to start talking shit about men when it's all it's all in good fun. It's just jokes. But I do notice when I've said fuckboy, rooms tense up. They tense up
Interesting.
every time, and they tense up,
they,
of course, when
'cause
there's a lot
they
of
all know
fuckboys.
they're fuckboys. Yeah.
It's palpable. It is. I said fuckboy in the main room on last Sunday or Monday or Tuesday. It was just this past Tuesday, and let me tell you,
People do get really uncomfortable because I think like when women start talking, they like just don't know what to do, because you are in that power position.
but it's just so weird. Like, what? It is 2019.
People are fucking weird. I had a really funny incident happen recently where I was at a show and I have jokes making fun of guys, but I usually turn it back on myself.
Of course,
kinda,
yeah.
twist it. And this is such a dumb joke. And also when people take it, it's like, it's not real.
It's a
I'm
joke.
saying a
People are-
lie at your
people are
face.
Stupid.
They're so fucking dumb. And I have a joke where I'm like, all men are dogs, huh? All men are dogs, which is why I wear peanut butter for lipstick. Like, it's a dumb,
So
not
silly.
a real
It's
joke.
so silly, and someone got mad.
This guy wrote me a message
Oh
that
my
was like, first of all, you got up and started saying men are dogs, like disparaging half of the small audience. And I was like, do you understand what I was saying?
This
Like,
was
I also said all men are dogs. Who let the men out? I was making a Baja Men joke. Like, he got pissed at a Baja Men pun. I was like,
I can't handle it. So wait, he sent you a message to
he
say
sent
this?
me a Facebook message later, like totally just talking about that and how it was like, you must be like very unconfident in yourself if you have to make fun of the audience. And it was like, do you even understand what just happened up there? Like, he had it's just as soon as I started saying like something about men, he just immediately shut off and was like, she's talking bad about
Of course.
men. And it was like, he couldn't listen to the
Of
joke.
course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, no, we got to do something. I don't know what. I guess just see, this is why you can't give up.
Yeah, I
'Cause
know. Yeah.
We haven't made enough change yet. Like,
Nope.
apparently there's not enough women if we're still feeling palpable energy changes and getting DM messages from guys talking about you can't tell jokes about men.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
this is where we are. All right, guys. All right, Barbara, that is it for the podcast. Thank you for being a delightful guest today.
Thank you so much. This is great.
No, I'm happy you were able to make it. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Again, if you have not subscribed to The Struggle, make sure you do that. We're on all podcast platforms. On YouTube as well, rate and review us on iTunes. And if you haven't told somebody about the podcast, make sure to do that. And last but not least, Barbara, one more time, where can people find you on social media?
Babs Gray on Twitter and Instagram, and I have a podcast called Lady to Lady and another one called Brittany's Gram.
Yes, make sure to check those out and subscribe. I'm Jokes by Candice, and by the time you hear this, it'll be after Thanksgiving. So I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. And till next time, bye.